Now, your brother's in one state, you're in another state, you've got this going on. Who decided who was going to, how did you decide who was going to write which part? Where was the checks and balances? Because, I mean, to me, there seems to be, having never written a book, especially collaboratively, it seems to be a degree or an element of difficulty there when you talk about two people in different locales trying to do something similar or common in nature. How does that work?
Well, for us, it was interesting because we started off, my brother's very, very good organizationally. We started off with a spreadsheet in the skeleton of this story, which, quite honestly, as the story evolved, changed many, many times. He stuck with what he knew. I stuck with what I knew. But and it was fun. It was a fun process because we surprised each other. We would take things sometimes off the track of that path that we were going down and said, well, what do you think about that? And we would surprise each other. It was fun. But I will say this, there isn't a word or a sentence in this book that we didn't stamp together. Whether I wrote the chapter and then he came afterwards and edited or said, I like that, I don't like that, and vice versa. So, and it was important to do that because what we did not want to do is to have a book that looked like it was written by two people. We wanted this book to have one voice, and I think we did. I mean, the funny thing is people who know my brother and me that are very close to us, they'll say, I could hear that coming out of Paul's mouth, or yeah, I could hear Michael saying that. But as far as the voice taking you through this storyline, I'm pretty confident we did a good job of making it so that you couldn't tell the difference between them.
Now, being first-time writers, how do you actually get this into production? How do you get what we have sitting in front of us out of your head and into a book? How difficult is that?
It's very difficult, and I think, and again, I'm not going to sit here and lament about what's going on with the written word now, and whether it's newspapers or publishing in books. I will tell you that it's incredibly difficult to get published, and I think that's why so many people now are taking that other route of self-publishing, because they have great stories, they have great ideas, but to try to break that wall without being known, without a name, is so difficult. I think we were lucky, and I think by and large we were lucky because we have a story that's unique. We have a story that has some twists and turns like no other story, and we have an ending that has, I've been fortunate enough to go to book clubs, and I just get overwhelmed with sitting around, and generally it's mostly women at book clubs, and I don't mind sitting around with 9 women and having a glass of wine, but the emotion that I get and the feedback that I've gotten from the ending of this book and how certain characters evolved. I mean, believe me, sometimes they were mad at me.
Sure.
But it's really, really satisfying to me, and I think that's why we were lucky and we were able to break through and get published. Other than that, being a no-name, it's like anything else.
How many publishers or publishing companies did you talk to? Did you go?
Oh, we had submitted this, the first round, we had done a first round, probably about 12 publishers. Okay. Most of them came back saying, thanks, but it's not what we, it's not the kind of story we deal with. Okay. Because it's a different story. But
it's an intense story.
It's an intense story.
It's, like as you say, it's a story that's going to make people angry. It's going to move some emotions. It would seem to me, because the recidivism rate in this country, definitely in the state, is 46%. So I would imagine that a number of folks that have read this book either may have been incarcerated or know someone that's been incarcerated or have had a family member that's been incarcerated. And so this, I would think, would touch a nerve, some positively, some negatively.
Absolutely. And the other thing that keeps coming back to us from people who have read it and contact me is I did not know that. I did not know that happened. I did not know that was the situation. Things like, I mean, very, very basic things. One of the things was I wanted to give corrections, the profession of corrections, and especially the correction officers and the corrections professionals who are inside those walls working with offenders every single day. I wanted them to finally get the respect that they deserved. And the only way I could do that was write an honest book. Don't make them out to be superheroes. Don't make them out to be, neo-Nazis like we're so often portrayed in movies and television. We're just regular people. We're public servants, like you had talked earlier, doing a very difficult job and a very thankless one. But the people who have read that, for instance, I'll give you an example. Are you kidding me? Are you telling me that you have 180 convicted felons in one housing unit with 3 officers, and they don't have guns? They don't have clubs, they don't have weapons? Yeah, that's real prison. That's, we're not showing you Shawshank Redemption. I mean, this is real. And the officers that have to deal with that every day are brave people, and by and large, they're very, very talented and respectful people in order to get the job done.
Well, but I will also say this. I agree with you that they are brave people. I agree with you that they are talented people, but they're also working in an organization where there is structure and where there are rules. And so, yes, you may have 180 inmates and 3 officers, but that structure and those rules and that environment is what allows the successful running of that organization and of that unit. And you're right. I have seen portrayed in movies and books and in the news how an officer will get the short end of the stick, and people really don't know the good job that officers do on a day-in, day-out basis, male and female, young and old. And they really do. So I'm glad to hear that you really did take an honest approach to that, to really explain and show the reader what it is like to be an officer. And clearly, they won't walk in the shoes of an officer, so they won't really know that, but at least this is an honest approach to that. We don't have much time left, so what I want to talk about is this. You got the book published. Now, this was in the second round. You said you had a first round of 12.
Second round.
Now, in the second round, how many publishing houses that you send it to? Or it wasn't the same publishing house?
No. We actually got the name of a gentleman who runs High Pitched Hum Publishing out of Florida. Sent him a copy. Within a week, he came back and said, "Can you fly down? I really like this." And from there, it just went pretty well. Now,
you mentioned that this may become a movie in a couple of years. How did it get from the written word to whomever in this production company that took a liking to it?
Well, it's the funny thing with technology, Facebooking on all this. A gentleman who I had graduated high school with a long time ago.
Right.
A mutual friend of ours got him the book, and he read it, and he is involved in production, and he knew people with the production company called Bridge Production. And he said, "Paul, could you send some books out? I think they're going to really like this story. And they're looking for this type of genre and something local that'll really get people interested." We sent them a group of books out.
And they liked it.
Under a week, we heard back, "Can we have dinner?"
Tell the viewers real quick, because we have to wrap this up, where they can find the book. How can they get a copy of it?
You can get a book ordering through Borders, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, or you can go to phase2publishing.com or phase2marketing.com.
Hey, Paul, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Listen, folks, the book is called Pros and Cons. It's really a good book. It's a good read, and Paul is a good friend. And I suggest that you go out, you get yourself a copy, you sit down in your nice, easy, comfortable chair, read it, enjoy it, look for the movie to come out, and tell your friends to pick up the copy also, because they can use the revenue. This time, we really are out of here. We'll be back again next week. Until then, you take care. Peace.